everyone, welcome to another webisode on wellness.com where we bring you expert health advice. Today I'm in the company of Milena Braticevic, who is a PhD in integral health. Welcome to the show, Milena.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. So the first question that comes to my mind, and I'm sure everyone would be curious to know, is what is integral health?
Yes, that's a great question. So integral health is looking at human health from the different perspectives, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So every human experience will have all those levels or dimensions to it. And whatever we're experiencing, we can reflect on, well, how does this feel physically? What is my physical experience of this? What are my thoughts about it? How am I kind of receiving information and processing that information? That will be the mental aspect. And then the emotional, how do I feel about whatever I'm experiencing? Am I feeling passionate about something, or do I feel maybe anxious about something? And then at the spiritual level, we're looking at, well, do my priorities align with my actions, and what is my purpose, and how am I kind of contributing to that bigger picture, right? So that's what really integral is looking at all of these perspectives. And for us to have a more prevention-oriented kind of paradigm on health in general, whether it's mental or physical, we need to have an integral perspective to be able to prevent things better.
What would some of these practices be for someone who's an entrepreneur who lives on the edge of stress?
Yes. So I think the number one thing is awareness that we are vulnerable to it, especially as business leaders, entrepreneurs. Again, research data shows that people who are in these more entrepreneurial kinds of roles are actually 3 times more likely to develop anxiety or depression at that clinical level. Why? Because as you know, entrepreneurs deal with all kinds of complex situations. They have to worry about, talent retention, business viability, cash flow, all of these things, right? So it's, I think, number one, important to know that as entrepreneurs, we are more susceptible, we are more vulnerable. And what that really means is that we have to look at our health at the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level from that prevention-oriented perspective. And what that practically means is essentially helping ourselves recharge and really give ourselves the resources and the energy we need and the support we need to keep sustainably healthy at all these different levels. So whether that's, taking care of nutrition, or making sure we get a good night's sleep, or if we can't have like a long night's sleep, maybe we can have like a half an hour break during the day to recharge. And then it's going to be individual to every person, but we all have certain things that, we find very helpful. So one of the main things, for example, is, going out in nature. And what happens when we go out in nature, even if we go out for a 15-minute walk around the block, our nervous system starts getting regulated from these natural sights and sounds of nature. And it's kind of the quickest way to reset, right? So again, if we feel like we don't have the time, but we're feeling like we're getting depleted, then that's kind of a quick hack we can do. Just go for a quick walk. And then, different things will work for different people. But I think it's important to be aware of what are these main themes in the symptoms of anxiety and the symptoms of depression. Because we talk about kind of diagnosis a lot, and it's important to know, well, what are the actual themes around those two? And for anxiety, it's basically the first theme is, inability to stop worrying, right? So this ruminating, worrying mind is very much active during anxiety. And one of the ways to tell if we're kind of going towards clinical level anxiety is to think about, am I worrying about just one specific thing that I might have to deal with right now? Or is my worry being kind of expanded into all areas of my life, and am I worried most of the time, right? So again, because of neuroplasticity, which is essentially this ability of the brain to create new connections and to make certain connections stronger, if we kind of think about those things more, and to make other connections weaker. So if we're worrying every day, essentially our whole system will have access to that worrying state a lot more easily. So, on a daily basis, we might find that we're worrying more, and we can't really stop, right? So essentially working with our thoughts and knowing how to release that worry is going to be very helpful. And there are different tools to do that. One is cognitive behavioral therapy, when we look at, well, what's the quality of this thought? How do I feel when I think this thought? How about if I look from a different perspective, would I feel better? And essentially using thoughts as tools to help us deal with uncertainty and change, and choosing those thoughts that are going to be helpful. So that's one way of addressing anxiety. Another main theme in anxiety is the inability to relax, right? Feeling restless, feeling nervous, and essentially not being able to get a good night's sleep. And that really affects everything in our body. So the way we can think about that is kind of like a muscle. Relaxation is kind of like a muscle. We need to practice it on a daily basis, whether that's, through meditation, or essentially allowing our nervous system to achieve that parasympathetic level, the rest and digest, right? So what are the ways that we're essentially activating our parasympathetic nervous system? And we have to do that on a daily basis. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to relax, again, because of neuroplasticity.
Well, this is a fascinating conversation, and it's got so many different aspects to it that hopefully we can continue this conversation going forward. I appreciate your time, and thank you for the insight. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Yes, so my website is nondualperspectives.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn through my name. So I look forward to connecting. And thanks again, Chris, for inviting me.
My pleasure. Great to have you on the program. Thanks, everyone, for watching wellness.com, where we bring you expert health advice. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or to our newsletter. We'll see you in the next webisode.